Okay, so for Poetry Week, we will learn about poetry and the different types. Then we will have poetry through games. So it's a little bit different than usual. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we will look at different types of poems, mainly 3 poems. One of the poems being Maya Angelou's poem, Why the Caged Bird Sings. So Thursday and Friday, November 3rd, students will make a poem depending on which category they've been placed in, and will compete in that category with their poem. Now, if we need the whole class period, I am completely fine with reading the poems on Friday instead of the last 10-15 minutes of class on Thursday, reading it on Friday for 10-15 minutes, and voting on which poem in its own category is quote-unquote the best, even though I know all of you guys will make the best poem you can to your capabilities, but it's just a little bit of competition, a little bit of fun, just to get you guys in the competitive spirit, to get you guys pumping and going in this assignment, and making sure that you guys really understand what is going on, what are the different types of poems, and the requirements and criteria. November 4th, like I said, if we need the extra 10-15 minutes to rule which one is quote-unquote the best, that's fine, but then afterwards we'll play Kahoot. And I know everyone loves Kahoot because I love Kahoot. If there are any appropriate and relevant ideas you have that I can include in poetry, please let me know. If for some reason I'm unable to fit whatever great idea that you have into this week, do not be discouraged, because I will try to fit it into a different week. If this week is successful and I see that there is a lot of engagement and I just see that you guys have a lot of interest and are succeeding in it, I would love to have another week, whether it's about MLA or I don't know, whatever it may be. I'll have to sit down and think about it, but I would love to include it into our next assignment, even if it's not a whole week. Just because there's different ways of teaching and learning, and I want to be able to make sure I'm getting every student's interest and getting you guys all to the end marking point, which is making sure you guys all are really, really smart on whatever concepts that I need you to know, the state needs you to know, and that you should just know because it's important to know. Assigned groups. So these are assigned groups. There's 4 of them: haiku, lyric poems, rhyme scheme, and limerick. First, haiku. If you are in the heart group, you will be haiku. How to create a haiku. Haikus are mostly about nature, and they contain 3 lines. Usually it's aligned in the middle of the page. If you can put it in the middle of the page, you guys are handwriting this. That's fine. If not, I'm not going to get mad. But this is just kind of like letting you know, as reference, that it is in the middle. It's a Japanese style of poetry. Now, the 3 lines has its own criteria. So, first line needs 5 syllables. Second, 7 syllables. And third, 5 syllables. If you do not know what a syllable is, that's perfectly fine. You just put if you want to know if a word has a certain amount of syllables, you put your hand under your mouth, or put your left or right hand, you make a fist, you put it underneath your chin, and you say a word, and your mouth will kind of tell you by how your jaw moves how much the syllable is. If anything, you can look it up. I will not get mad if you use your phone and look it up, but just try to see if you can figure it out on your own. So, for example, sound, my mouth only went down once, so it went down and then up, and it did go down again. Usually if it goes down multiple times, it's multiple syllables. So, down, that's 1 syllable. Sound, 1 syllable. I'm trying to think 2 syllables. What is a word with 2 syllables? 2-syllable word: picnic, picnic, or tennis. My mouth or my jaw moved twice. If you put your hand under your jaw or chin, you can feel it. Tennis, it moves twice, and you can also see E and I are vowels. So usually you can kind of tell with vowels that there's so many syllables. So, for example, the blossom trees dance. The blossom trees dance. That's 5 syllables. And the wind speaks in my ears. That's 7. The sun warms my face. The sun warms my face. 5 syllables. I just had to double check myself there because I wanted to make sure I was right. Free verse poem. That's the second group. That's the star group. You do not have to make the poem rhyme or have a pattern. So the first line doesn't have to rhyme with the second line or the third or fourth line or the fifth or sixth. It doesn't have to rhyme. It's a free verse. That means to your free will. There's really no technically a requirement, but the requirements that I'm making is you have to have the topic relate to somewhat of inequality, the American dream. If you have any other ideas or anything that's related to the poems that we've talked about, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Any of those subjects or near those subjects that make sense, perfectly fine. If you have any other ideas, please talk to me beforehand, meaning you are assigned your groups Thursday. Once you're in those groups, think about what you're going to write for a good 5 minutes. If you can't think or you don't know what topic you want to do, if you want to do a topic that's different than this and you want to talk to me about it, please tell me beforehand, meaning before the last 5 minutes of class where you have to turn in your poem, because then you aren't getting the credit for turning in the poem. This will be a grade. This will be a class work assignment. Needs to have at least 2 stanzas. Now, we talked about stanzas Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, but just as a reminder, stanzas are kind of like paragraphs. Like we talked about body paragraphs before. There's a first, second, third. There could be 50 million body paragraphs. That's kind of like what stanzas are. They are the paragraphs in poetry. So there's a space in between them. So, as you can see in my example, there's 2 stanzas, aka, if you want to say it, 2 body paragraphs or 2 paragraphs. There needs to be at least 4 lines in each stanza. That means 4 lines in the first stanza, aka paragraph. Second stanza, 4 lines. You can have more than 4 lines. In my example, I did not have 4 lines, but you can have 5 or 6. I mean, you don't want to do 10 lines. I would say the max you want to do is 5 to 6 lines. And you could have 5 lines in the first stanza and 4 in the second stanza. That's perfectly fine. But you don't want to have 10 stanzas in the first one and 8 in the second one, because that's just too much. I want this to be an assignment that's just, you guys get it, you guys are having fun with it, but that doesn't overwhelm you. So my example, the dream of wanting to succeed forces my family to be the best they can be. We wake up early to start our day, to try to get a couple more cents. We work the farms and do the dirty work while others are in suits and office spaces. I juggle school and learning the language in hopes I will be the first in my family to make it. So this is kind of like the topic of the American dream, a minority or maybe a person of color dealing with struggles and oppression in America, their family doing the dirty work instead of being able to do the blue collar jobs or the white collar jobs, and working in offices or being their own bosses essentially. So rhyme scheme, poem, this is group 3. You are the cloud group. This is the requirement for a rhyme scheme. You will write at least 1 stanza, again, quote unquote paragraph, and the stanza will at least have 4 lines. Will only have 4 lines, I mean to say, just because there needs to be a rhyme scheme of A, B, A, B. And the topics include inequality, American dream, or nature. So for A, B, A, B, the first line needs to match with the third line, meaning they need to rhyme with one another. The second line needs to rhyme with the fourth line. For example, the White House and picket fence, an American dream I wish for, if only I had a couple cents, the key to an opportunity all behind a white door. For and door rhyme with one another, line 2 and 4. Fence and sense rhyme with one another, line 1 and 2. So line 1 and 2 are A, line 1 and 3 are A. Lines 2 and 4 are B. And that's pretty much it. Last group, the limerick group. So you are the smiley face group. You need to have 5 lines. That's the requirement for limerick. And at least 1 stanza. You can make more than 1 stanza, but if you want to make your life easy, you can just do 1 stanza. The rhyme structure needs to be an A, A, B, B, A. So 3 A's, 2 B's. For example, the way my veins look like roots and breathe the air the trees produce, my skin the color of the bark, the stars that sparkle in the dark resemble as scattered ripe fruits. Roots, produce, and fruits are all A. Bark and dark is rhyme or is letter B. They rhyme with one another. The topics you can discuss for this group: American dream, racial issues, inequality, and human nature. And like I said, I think in the first slide or the second slide for, I think rhyme scheme, or the one before that, the point is, if you have a different idea, as long as it kind of goes with what our topics and subjects have been throughout this whole week, and the topics and subjects that the poems that we've read discuss, that is fine. Just talk to me beforehand. You don't have to do specifically this. It's just kind of like the main topics and subjects that we've talked about throughout the week through poetry. And I want to continue this when you guys are making your poems. And this is the Kahoot. You will press the Kahoot for the link to start. This is for Dr. Harvey now. So when I made the Kahoot, for some reason, it would not let me publish it, and I tried publishing it 50 million times, but it would not allow me. I looked it up on Google. It's giving me a hard time, so I wasn't able to publish the link, but I did make a Kahoot, and if you want, I can show you it in class, but this is a screenshot of just some of the Kahoot questions that I made. Back to class now. You are allowed to use your phone or tablet or for this assignment to play the Kahoot. And this is just one of the questions, so like I said before, one of the poems that we're going to be talking about in class.